there's going to be some sadness coming up.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, is there anything else generative art-y that we want to talk about?
I do
saw
want to
that...
talk more about House of Dragons because it's been so good right now.
Two Bored Apes talking NFTs, DeFi, and some random stuff. Two Bored Apes talking NFTs, DeFi, and some random stuff.
Welcome to episode 57 of Two Bored Apes. I'm your host, Jamie. I'm here with my friend and co-host, Zeneca/Roy. Zeneca/Roy, how are you?
I am well, Jamie/Jaime Musings.
It's good.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since we recorded because last week we put out a Twitter Q&A episode which we had recorded the previous week to that, and it's good to be back. It's good to be back chatting about NFTs. There's been a bunch of news that happened between the last time we recorded and now. We know a little about a lot of it, but not a lot about much of it. Is that an accurate way of describing?
That's pretty accurate, yeah. Why don't we just jump right into it? What do you want to talk about first? Maybe we'll save Blur the last because you actually know about that.
Yeah,
and it's also different.
Yeah, so
some of these are headlines, whereas this is sort of a ongoing new thing. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll get to Blur at the end of the news of the week. I'm looking at our list here. We've got country of France via state-owned energy company is managing over 150 ETH validators. I mean, that's pretty big. 150 ETH validators, 32 ETH each. That's like, what, 4,500-ish ETH. Pretty significant. Country of France.
Yep. Now, times that by about $1,300. What's that in US dollars?
You should never do math live on a...
okay. Either way, though, but for like a state-owned
many millions
utility,
of dollars.
Yeah, for a state-owned utility, that's actually kind of like nothing, you know?
Yeah.
For first world countries, utility, I mean, they can easily afford that. But it is interesting. And also, I mentioned this in our group chat, but, you know, there's like the Bitcoin maxis and the F maxis and then everybody else in crypto. But a lot of the Bitcoin maxis would try and say basically that nation states will only ever be interested in Bitcoin because it's, you know, it had the maximum decentralization. What's the thing they say basically about the initial distribution of every coin after Bitcoin is somehow inherently a little bit unfair and centralized, but Bitcoin is not in some magical way. There's like I feel like there's a modicum of truth to that, but not to the degree that they sort of like to portray it. But this is sort of a counter to that because this is a country ostensibly, right? That is sort of in
France is a country.
Yeah, but you know, again, it's a company. It's a like division of a company that's state-owned. So it's not like the country of France exactly is just going, hey, we're running F validators. But it is pretty similar to that.
Is this the first country that we're aware of that's doing something like this, or this closely
it's
affiliated?
It's the first
to a
that
country?
I can think of. I mean, so certainly we had that
El
one
Salvador
country
for Bitcoin.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
as far as F is concerned, this is the first that I can think of that's done something like this.
Pretty big news. And
yeah,
I think we'll probably see more stuff like this, if not countries, then companies sort of diversifying into ETH.
Speaking of companies, I just saw, I think maybe this morning on Twitter, could have been yesterday, Fidelity Investments, which is like one of the biggest asset managers on the earth, basically sent out an email to some group of their clients or whatever, basically saying, you know, with the switch to proof of stake, people are looking at F as more of a blah, blah, blah. So we're going to be doing custodial blah, blah, blah. Let us know if you're interested, something to that effect, which is, again, another huge thing.
We had sort of hypothesized that one of the biggest flow-on effects after the merge would be more acceptance from countries, companies, funds, the rest of the world to use ETH because it was environmentally friendly now. And I think we're starting to begin to see that. ETH is... Now, we are not financial advisors, but ETH seems underpriced to me. It's
we do not give financial advice, and we're not capable of that. Well, the other thing, sort of, I thought, not just the environmental impact, but the fact that it was sort of just a speculative commodity without the proof of stake thing. So sort of, the underlying way to have a sort of confident source of income from it would have been to mine it. Whereas now to actually own it is sort of the equivalent in terms of taking advantage of the increasing supply.
Now, I should know the answer to this question, but I don't. And I'm not sure if you do either. But like, as more people stake ETH, does the return for the return for the individual must go down, right?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it's still it said like the low percentages at the moment, maybe somewhere between 2% and 6%, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I feel like I remember a long time ago people thinking like, you'd hear maybe as high as 15, and then more sober estimates were like 8, but now it seems even lower, which is sort of interesting too. The way DeFi numbers were so high for a while, and then now we're at the point where like DeFi yields are like lower than traditional finance yields in so many ways. So it makes sense though that they should kind of come to something closer to an equilibrium, because that's sort of how theoretically a free market works, right? You have oversized returns, more people flock to it and lower the returns.
Remember when we were like all happy and thrilled with 150,000% from Ohm, and those were the good old days. Well, I can't believe that didn't work out. 150,000%. It sounded so ridiculous, and then for a while we were like, I think we red pilled ourselves into
sort
believing.
Of made sense though, and it still sort of does. The problem, I think, is that there was so much, in general, sort of cynicism in the space that people were like, "Well, why would I get into this now? I could just fork it and get because the returns again, as we're sort of saying with this, but on a bigger scale with Ohm, were bigger early on and then smaller later." So people were like, let's just fork it and we'll be the super early investors. And those got forked a million ways, which pulled out some capital from it. And then a bunch of those rugged, which pulled out sort of the confidence in the whole mechanism. And then people were like, well,
in hindsight, the million Ohm folks was the beginning of the end, an obvious sign.
Okay, so we got the Validators. We also had the SEC announce that they were looking into, I believe investigate was not the exact word, right? Just looking into Yuga Labs.
Yes. So this happened while I was in Vegas, and I barely I missed that whole like couple of days news cycle and still haven't really caught up. I wasn't sure if it was they were looking into Ape Coin or Yuga as an entire entity. Are you familiar?
I think they basically said Yuga because it's probably reasonable to think that Ape Coin would be the one that they have to be the most scrutinizing about. But look at all of it, might as well, I guess.
Yeah. And again, I haven't researched a ton, but sort of like the general impression I get just reading some thoughts from smart people is that it's very unlikely that they have like a leg to stand on in terms of actually calling some of this stuff.
SEC?
Yeah, when it comes, I think ApeCoin specifically.
That sounds right.
But yeah, it's you guys also always been pretty. I mean, that they got like the best lawyers ever to help with some of their stuff, especially later on. But they've always been a little more reserved with sort of forward-thinking statements. They have a roadmap. It's very vague. That they're not like, all right, in 3 months we're going to do this. In 6 months we're going to do this. It's just sort of like, fuck it, Mutant Saturday. It's like, we're just going to drop stuff.
One of the sort of funny responses on Twitter a lot to it was basically like, what are they talking about? When I got my ape, the utility was that I could draw a dick on a bathroom wall, a pixelated dick on a digital bathroom wall. Like that's what I was doing this for.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, it was nothing, you know what I mean? And it grew into a much bigger thing because of, a bunch of stuff that is, yes. By the way, did you see that one person who made a tweet thread like probably a week ago at this point? They were like, a year ago today, or I guess it wasn't because it was more than that, but basically trying to tell the story of how the Bored Apes minted out, and they got it completely wrong, and they were trying to drop a cool Twitter thread where they informed people, and people were like, that's not what happened.
Yeah, a lot of people I think still a lot of people. I didn't read that thread or see that, but a lot of people like, well, they minted out like in 20 minutes, and it was like, no, they were open for like a week.
Yeah, that's what it was. They were saying how it minted out in a day, and it was like this influencer said this, then they told this person, and then it was like, dude, it took a week. What are you talking about?
To be fair, I think the day that it did like mint from like the five, like I think like the majority minted out in that last day, and it was probably similar to that. But yeah, it had been open for a week. Yeah. All right, this is something to watch. I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the future. It's probably going to take the SEC a year or two to, we saw how long.
Yeah, I could talk a little bit more about it if you want to.
Yeah,
couple other thoughts I've seen and sort of agree with is that, on the one hand, it's sort of good that they are looking at them as they're somebody who seems to have, dotted their I's and crossed their T's more and has the resources to, comply and fight back or whatever if need be. Another thought was from sort of maybe a pessimistic point of view about like there's definitely people in the space that have definitely done shady and illegal stuff. Why are you not looking at them? But you are looking at these because they're the most notable name and the numbers are, I guess, the biggest would sort of be the reasonable answer to that. So that was just sort of something that I saw and mostly agreed with both of those.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Like there's.
But sorry, on that topic, we do have another thing in the news of the week that is one of those more illegal looking things.
Gambling Apes Project. Yeah.
Do you remember that one? I vaguely remember hearing about it a while ago, but I never thankfully got involved because I didn't get a letter from the SEC saying, hey, you tweeted about this. Or from Twitter, saying we've been subpoenaed about this.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it as well. I remember there were like 2 Gambling Ape projects around the same time.
At least.
Well, yeah. And I think Monkey
This one, I think,
DAO
was literally just called Gambling Apes.
Yeah. Talk for a second. I'm going to go check my wallet and see if I own any of these Gambling Apes.
Okay. Roy's going to check one of his many Ethereum wallets to see if he has these. I think I guess the letter is coming from people who tweeted about it rather than just got involved in the NFT project.
Yeah.
But Roy's checking that. You know what I am finding funny is the difference between how close your webcam is to you. You have a giant head and I have a tiny head. filling these frames, we look very different.
Yeah. I'm in a new place. I'm in a hotel room in Dubai, and it's just
it. By the way, it took me about 7 minutes into this. I was like, "Oh, the background in Roy's apartment is a little bit different." Even though you've been talking to me a boring amount about how nice this hotel room is for a week now.
It's like less than $50 a night, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway. Gambling Apes. So Twitter's been subpoenaed by the Department of Justice about it and about what some people have said, something like that.
Yes, basically. And so then every user who had tweeted about it got something from Twitter about how the Department of Justice was interested in their tweets.
Looks like I do not have any Gambling Apes that I'm aware of.
I would think it's quite likely to be something that's hidden on OpenSea by now, though, by default. I don't know if you thought to check that.
I did not think to check that. Yeah, I'm not even seeing that. Like, if I search the collection, it doesn't come up. So let me check my hidden tab.
Doesn't seem like the kind of thing that you would have been stupid enough to. And no offense to any listeners that got involved in it, but
it did. I think it's my stupidity.
No, I don't think I do. Actually, I don't think that highly of you. Believe me, but
yeah, I do not have them in my hidden folder either, which is nice.
All right, so there's a couple things. What else do we got?
Mangoes?
It was the big Solana hack, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you follow that at all, or what?
I didn't follow too much, but I saw a thread posted by, I think it was one of the hackers afterwards.
Yeah,
basically,
where he thought it was like a legitimate trading strategy.
Yeah, he was like, I executed an advanced high-risk trading arbitrage opportunity, and I was very successful at it, but it ended up, causing this entire exchange default. The insurance couldn't cover it, and people were out of money. So we're going to make them whole, but we're going to keep like $30 million that we took, something like that.
Yeah. I think the exploit was supposed to be for 114 million, and I think he was keeping 67 maybe.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong about that. It is kind of weird though, like, you know, people use the word hack so much, and then other people will say you didn't get hacked, you signed a malicious transaction and stuff. And it is sort of interesting when, you know, I don't know, but where is the line between white and gray, and then where's the line between gray and black as far as hacking is concerned, and sort of taking advantage of the way these things are structured. If you're taking advantage of sort of the security of it to like get into something, that seems a little bit more like an illegitimate thing. But if you're sort of just taking advantage of the way the market is structured and the way the financial products are intertwined, then it does seem closer to, you know, a trading strategy where you just sort of have an inefficient system.
Yeah, it is really interesting. Like, a lot of people talk about how code is law, but law is law. And
right,
I think we're going to see some interesting cases over the next 5-10 years where people sort of they abide by the law of the code and do things that they can, like, if they can do it, it's doable. But a court of actual law might disagree and be like, well, just because you could do it doesn't mean it was legal.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that for sure. It seems like maybe, I think we've probably talked about this before, but bug bounties in general will probably just have to get bigger, right? Because it's a way to sort of bulletproof your protocols, your contracts, and a way to allow these people that have legitimate skills that can be legitimately helping shore up the flaws in these things in a way that's above board, you know?
Yeah.
It is funny though when like companies will have, you know, a $90 million weakness or whatever, or potential exploit, and they'll be like, we'll give you $10,000 as a bug bounty. It's like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I've seen a few over the last couple of months where someone, I think, finds something in OpenSea, and
I saw one,
it's I think they're giving like $500,000 or $1 million, and it's just like pretty,
I was going to say 500,000.
That's
as well,
pretty
is what I
respectable.
think I saw. Definitely.
Yeah.
And it was sort of quick too, is what I understood.
Yeah,
where,
yeah,
like, they
yeah. It was just like they posted it 24 hours, bang.
They updated it. Yep, all that. That's great, I think.
Yeah, more of that.
It does make me wish I kind of kept up with my Solidity training that I started last year, but that's all right.
Yeah, that was all of the headlines. And then that sort of segues us nicely into Blur as well, this new marketplace, which I am very involved with. I invested in them back in, I think it was December last year or January this year, and then I joined the team in April, May. And basically they went public yesterday, so they have been in private beta for...
Hold on. They didn't go public in sort of the IPO sense.
Like the protocol became available for everyone to use yesterday. Yeah,
that's sort of a specific term in terms of companies. So,
and like just over the last 24 hours, just everyone has been. So maybe to zoom out a little bit, Blur is, they're trying to be, like the NFT marketplace for advanced traders. They're trying to fill that niche where OpenSea is more for like the beginner user. It's got like large, big pictures, but it doesn't have like the speed or the analytics that maybe something like Gem might have had before. If you wanted to sweep a bunch of NFTs. So
I was going to say they tried to sort of shore up that weakness a little bit by acquiring Gem. Them somewhere.
Which I haven't actually noticed anything significant on that front where it's like, it's just that OpenSea now owns Gem. There hasn't been like integration of Gem technology on OpenSea. Well, I say that they did introduce the shopping cart thing recently, so maybe there was something behind the scenes there.
Yeah, I think they were just sort of trying to maybe sort of defend against trades happening over there, not being a part of them. So now they're kind of at both
capturing it.
Yeah, so you can talk more about the reality of it, but I did like the idea that, so they have these boxes, right, that they're airdropping, and the most common type of box is labeled as uncommon, which is just sort of funny as somebody that's come from, you know, Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering and all that stuff. They did away with the concept of common. They just started with uncommon. Somebody on Twitter was saying it's like condoms, where like a regular condom would say large size or whatever, just to make people feel better.
I saw the one where it's like you go to Starbucks and you get like a tall coffee, and it's like the smallest, shortest one there is.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Doodle sort of went in the opposite direction with the duplicator boxes, where they had common, and then they had a very common, and
that's funny.
That was the most common one, and Anyway, they released the quote-unquote airdrop yesterday, which is these care packages where if you've traded over the last 6 months, you log in and you list one NFT, and then you're eligible to claim these care packages, which can be opened in January, which is when they'll be releasing the Blur token. And people have just been having fun. They have different rarities, uncommon being the most common, and then rare, and then legendary. And I think
I did see somebody claiming, I didn't look into it though, that there was some way to sort of ensure rare or legendary status. They were like, if you inspect the source code on the page, but there like weren't enough serious responses to the tweet that it kind of made me think it wasn't serious.
Yeah,
and I'm certainly not smart enough to look at the source code myself and see. I don't know. I feel like probably if it is true, we'll definitely see, somebody that got 700 legendaries or whatever, and that would prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt, which kind of makes me think it was just somebody being a smartass, or possibly that it was like immediately fixed. I don't really know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't see that, but if it is a thing, I think it'll spread pretty quickly. And people be talking about
this would have been yesterday, maybe a full 16 hours ago, or even more. So it probably already would have if it was legitimate, I think.
Have you logged in and seen how many packages you're getting?
I have not done mine yet, and I got another 12 days. I got to not forget to do this for sure.
Yeah.
I am curious though, because I feel like, so it's 6 months you said of activity?
Yes, across.
I feel like I've been doing more stuff in the last 6 months than most people, because I've still been buying some art, and then selling off a lot of the stuff that I didn't care about. Whereas I feel like a lot of people sort of just left the space or just kind of sat on what they had and not acquired anything new. I've done a little buying and a little selling, so I feel like I could be in store for a good amount.
Yeah, no, I think so. I don't know the formula, but it's like ETH volume more than like number of trades as well. So like some art block stuff is usually going to be worth a lot more than a bunch of random 0.01 projects.
Is it just OpenSea volume, or do you know where it's coming from?
No, so it's basically any of the marketplace aggregators. So it's OpenSea, LooksRare, X2Y2, SudoSwap, Gem, Genie. And I think there's a qualifier that it's at least 1 ETH worth of volume, I think, to just try and weed out essentially bots, but unfortunately there'll be some like genuine users who maybe just spend 0.2 ETH and aren't going to be eligible. But the other thing is there's a second airdrop planned, which is going to be larger in allocation, and it'll be the people that are actively using Blur over the next, 2-3 months until January.
And we've sort of had a lot of these new marketplaces that are ostensibly, possibly hoping to be an OpenSea killer. And it is interesting to sort of see them get iterated and improved upon. LooksRare still being sort of my favorite of them. I've never done much with X2Y2. I kind of don't like their attitude, even though I do often sort of see that the prices are pretty competitive over there. There's like a lot of bot offers on OpenSea where like the username is cheaper on X2Y2 and stuff like that, where they're sort of trying to advertise to get volume over there.
I'd be curious to see what you think after you use Blur, just to see how it compares. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm going to very soon. I've seen that just some of the light stuff on the dashboard or whatever, like they're advertising that they're sweeping tools a little bit faster and stuff like that, which is stuff that I'm maybe not as interested in. But sometimes, like for instance, I like doing collection offers, and on various art blocks collections on OpenSea, it just the make collection offer button just disappears sometimes. It's like, that's fucking annoying as hell. So that kind of thing, I'd be happy to see something better. We also don't need to get into my all-time list of grievances of OpenSea, because Lord knows I've had plenty, and our longtime listeners have heard plenty of them. They're far from perfect, certainly.
Yeah. All right, that's kind of been news of the week, I think.
News of the week.
News of the week.
Art
blocks and
and
generative art
generative art in
general.
general. You know what's funny about this drop? Primitives is the newest curated drop, by the way, on Art Blocks. That's what we're probably mostly going to talk about. I started seeing these pop up on NFT-Fi the other day, and I was like, "Oh, what's this? What's this new project?" I somehow didn't notice. I have been on Discord very little lately, which is generally where I would first hear about the upcoming curated drop. I probably have 27 notifications or something right now.
Yeah.
So you
have a very busy life. You were talking today about how busy you are. You have to take your dog
I have a
to the
busy
groomer
morning
and then
today.
go
I have
see
a
a
busy
hockey
morning
game.
today.
Yeah.
I have a busy morning today. Give me a break. But I somehow just didn't know about this one from my sort of normal Art Blocks channels.
Yeah. No, I've been in a similar boat where it's, I think for the last sort of 2 or 3
Oh, your life
curated
is
drops.
so busy. Oh, right. His life is so busy.
But yeah, I had basically not missed a curated drop for over a year except Gazes, RIP. And
That's
then
funny.
I think the last 3 I didn't mint and haven't even gone back to collect yet, but I'm sure that I will. Yeah, this was also the last curated drop part of a series. Like
Oh,
season
really?
8,
Did they
series 8
announce
is
it?
over.
I thought they had said that, we're probably going to extend 8 now when they
Well,
first
they have
announced
extended it. So it was meant like it was usually based on quarters, and the quarter ended sort of 20 days ago. So this
Okay,
was
so they
the
did
extension.
like 1 or 2 extra.
Two extra, I think.
2 drops
It's been
extra.
3
Okay.
weeks. Yeah. So this
I did not know that either.
Yeah, there's 400 of them. Primitives. It's very I think like resource intensive in the sense that anytime I load the website on my browser, it sort of lags a little bit, which yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that other than that it is. These are
That is resource intensive.
It's resource intensive. Yeah, I haven't taken a ton of time to look at it. They're sort of like 3D objects, I would say, is the best way that I could
that's
quickly describe
so
it.
vague. It's hilarious.
It is.
They're definitely like polygons, I would say, is a way to also describe. There's no curvature to it. It's all hard edges and stuff
Pointy
like
edges,
that.
sharp edges. Yeah.
Just to get us slightly describing it better than it's 3D object. But we'll have a link to it and people should check it out. Describing art that we've barely looked at on the podcast is not a great way for people to take it in. I saw yesterday it was okay. It was like a 0.9 floor, and then now I think it's like 0.6-ish. I don't know what it sold out at. I'm guessing 0.7 or something in that range.
Something like that. This is an episode of Two Bored Apes where we know a little about a lot and not a lot about a little.
True. Except Blur, which you know a decent amount about.
Well, yeah, that's the exception.
Right. Now, I'm going to get us off topic a little bit here ahead of schedule.
All right, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee while you do that.
Do you know about the Survivor update? Have I given you that in private, or have I saved it entirely for this?
You've saved it entirely for this, and that's the next segment we're going to get to.
There's going to be some sadness coming up.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, is there anything else generative art-y that we want to talk about?
I do want to talk more about House of Dragons because it's been so good right here.
I'll quickly say something generative arty and then we can go off topic, which is I have a Zancan print that is coming my way soon, which I'm very excited about. And I saw he posted he does a lot of tweeting when he's using the plotter and like samples, and got me just really excited to see it. So that's cool. Pen plotters seem amazing. I mean, you were thinking about getting one for a while, right?
Yeah, I have the Axie draw on my birthday list. Nobody got it for me. Thanks everyone who's listening who participated in getting me birthday presents and didn't get it. It's pretty expensive though for like a weird thing that people wouldn't even know what it was. We do have another generative art thing, right? We're going to be guesting on one of the 2 biggest generative art podcasts in the whole world very soon. That's noteworthy, right?
Is it confirmed yet?
I think so.
I'm looking for the group chat. Yeah. I mean, that is exciting.
This is great stuff to listen to. We haven't given the name of it.
We
you're
don't know exactly
undercutting
when.
me
We don't know
saying
when it's going to
happening. I
come
think it's
out.
happening Saturday, the 22nd. No idea when it'll come out.
Yep. The name is waiting to be signed.
Which
It
for
is-
fxhash users, you'll understand that, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's by
That basically
Willpop
meant that
and
the
Trinity.
metadata for... Oh, sorry. I was trying to explain where the name came from.
Go on.
So on fxhash, when you mint something, you don't get an immediate reveal. I think it's better now than it used to be, but the reveal used to take a while, and it would say waiting to be signed basically while you waited for your reveal. The end. And this is basically an fxhash based
Yeah.
podcast. I forgot the word podcast while we were recording our podcast.
We're recording our podcast, talking about a podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are ostensibly going to be on there in a couple of days, and then that will probably go out, I don't know, within the week,
I would
hopefully
assume, yeah.
which is exciting. We love
So
talking
stay tuned for
generative
that.
art.
I guess we
talk
can
generative
have
art.
a link to the podcast in general.
Yeah.
Because we want people to listen to the episode, right? And tell them this is the best episode you guys have ever done. We don't even know why you do episodes without these two guesting. This was just so good. We love Jamie and to a lesser extent Roy so much.
All right, moving on.
Right? Let's do us a favor. Move that head. I kind of want to see a bit more of this painting behind you. Okay, it's like a boat. Your microphone's really blocking it. Okay. Oh, the water's splashing out of the frame. That's kind of fun. Okay, you can get back. Oh, look at that. Again, just another beautiful moment for the people listening to the audio only version of this.
We've gotten a lot better at not just spending 5 minutes scrolling the Artblocks website in silence.
For a little while there, we were getting very into doing that.
Yeah,
which was just terrible. And I also am somebody who listens to tons of podcasts and never ever watches video podcasts. So I'm in my headspace. I'm always trying to sort of optimize for the audio version. Yeah. But I'm there staring at you. I get curious about things sometimes, you know.
Well, there you go. It's some cool art in an amazing room that was less than 14 nights in a hotel in Dubai for $876. Like, that is... My flight over here costs more than 14 days accommodation. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
Any other good deals you've had lately that you want to... Oh, okay. Yeah, well, let's move on. Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. Just on the good deal things, we were talking about Dubai. Rachel and I, we're thinking to move. Well, we are planning to move here, and we're working on the whole visas and setting up a company and stuff. And the way that Dubai works is that they have what are called free zones, and sort of, I don't know exactly, I guess kind of like states, but much smaller. And each state, or each free zone rather, is like vying to get you to set up your business there because it benefits them. And so they're in competition to get you. And when we were deciding where to incorporate, effectively, we had like a third party help us out. And he was like, well, you have a couple options, but this free zone is offering a buy one, get one free visa. So we recommend them. And it was just funny to have that. What's the word? Capitalized? Capitalismist? Capitalized? Marketed?
Capitalistic, probably.
Capitalistic. There we go. For visas, and yeah, we got a good deal on our visas. So
there's a lot of that similar sort of competition for companies in the United States, in state versus state. We'll give you this tax break, we'll give you that tax break, that kind of
Isn't
thing.
Like basically every company in Delaware or something like that?
Yeah, so in there is a lot of companies based out of Delaware because of how lax their corporate law is in some capacity. I don't really know the specifics of it, but that is definitely true. This is the generative art segment of our podcast.
All right, let's talk about our projects where we're going to discuss House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragons, some football. Oh, by the way, the basketball season just started 2 nights ago. I'm very excited about this. Celtics look great. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum dropped 70 points together. That's pretty nasty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've been watching any. I watched,
and you and him were just talking basketball.
Oh, that is crazy. Speaking of Spike Lee, though, I watched the Knicks game yesterday. That was a very good game as well. John Morant, very entertaining player to watch. This is interesting to some of the people listening, by the way, not to you.
This is very uninteresting to most of the people listening, I'm sure.
No, but John Morant, really, it's like he's so fun to watch. The people that know.
Okay.
So do you want to talk about our projects? You want to go first? Do I want to go first? How does this go?
Why don't you go first and talk about generative art /
You've
what was
added
the
the
other
survivor
non
pool as a regular thing that I
survivor
have to
pool?
talk
Yeah.
about. I'm out. Let's just get that out of the way.
I'm shocked. I could not have seen this coming.
Oh, because I spoiled it.
Yes, 5 minutes
It's sort
ago.
of a bummer too because I went against my own better judgment on this week's pick. I was planning on picking Jacksonville or Buffalo for a while, right? And then I decided Jacksonville was better. You got to save Buffalo, and I was happy with that decision. But then as it got closer and closer to pick time, it was becoming apparent that Jacksonville was going to get picked a huge percentage of the time, and I could pick New Orleans. By the way, if you thought the John Morant stuff was not interesting, this is even more not interesting to people that don't care, because it's not even about the sport; it's about a gambling thing on top of the sport. Anyway, I'm gonna continue because
Gambling is inherently more interesting than
it sort of
makes
is.
everything.
But
more
anyway, so New Orleans was going to be maybe, I think it was about 7% less likely to win, so it was sort of riskier. But the amount of people that was picking it was going to be way less, so it was going to be a higher EV pick. And I wanted to do it, but I couldn't really pull the trigger on it. I was like trying to sort of save it. So you remember sort of the old debate in tournament poker where you kind of avoid small edges now in order to have opportunities later, and then people kind of poo-pooed that idea. But sort of in the survivor pool format, it's a much more legitimate thing because it's almost the equivalent of you're going to get dealt each starting hand only one time, and you kind of get to choose when you use them. So if you do sacrifice now, it really is allowing you to do stuff better later. So I picked the safer pick that I thought was a little bit worse of Jacksonville, and then ended up Jacksonville lost and New Orleans, the less safe pick that I kind of wanted to do, won. So I was quite sad about it, but I'm getting over it. The end.
I really want to play a game of poker now where you only get each starting hand once. Like you cycle through.
It's so funny how we talk about nonsense all the time. But I played a game where basically it was like you got the ace through 7 of each. Like it was a 4-player game, and you would each have a suit, and you'd get the ace through 7 of it. And then it was almost like you were playing like 4-card war. So everybody would just, you pick one, you put it face down, and the highest card would collect everything. So there was sort of that. And then it's a little bit, like stud or whatever, where you're trying to remember what cards everybody's used. I mean, if you're trying to play well, you have to obviously remember that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. But that was sort of very similar to that format.
Stud is a fun game. I enjoyed Stud.
I don't think so.
I like
Stud 8.
I like Stud 8. I like Stud 8.
I never liked Stud 8. By the way, I have a bracelet in Stud 8. Do you want to talk about that or no?
Not a World Series bracelet. An online bracelet like
World Championship of Online Poker. I don't know, of the site that you used to shill for. So,
wow, that was a lifetime ago.
That really was a long time ago when I was winning bracelets and you were a sponsored pro on PokerStars. Wow. Yeah. So that's the survivor pool update. That's kind of sad.
You mentioned you're coding again, right? You started coding.
I am. Boy, it's crazy how rusty I am. But I have been in P5JS again. I actually have a book here that I bought not that long ago. I wish I could
Generative
do a mirror
design.
Yep. Do you want to try and read this as well?
It's a bit blurry for me. I just see a V. Here we go. Visualize, program, and create with processing.
Yeah. So there's a newer version of this that is for P5JS, which is what I actually use. And that one is free on Kindle. So I got that on my Kindle, but I don't like that as much as having the book. It's also a thing where I don't know how much reading you've done in Kindle, but the formatting can be very tough and like, if you look at this is somewhere we got, blocks of code and images and stuff like that a lot, where it's really not the same. But sort of what's nice about using the processing version versus the P5JS version is that it's a little bit more active. Like I can't literally just copy the code. I can mostly copy because it's very similar. But there's some stuff that's a little bit different. So you have to, actually engage in learning how to use the programming language a little bit more. What's so funny?
Just the idea of like, you have to actually engage and think about how to use
rather than just copying and going, I got the output from the book, it looks good, and not necessarily learning so much. So that's kind of fun. But then when I try and go off the reservation and do an idea just from my head, it's like, it's sad how rusty I am at it. But I am definitely excited to get back at it.
Yeah, it's cool that you're back at it, and I'm yeah, I'm still excited to see what you come up with in your first fxhash project. I look forward to it.
Yeah,
And maybe one
me
day
too.
I will start probably. I recommended the coding train to someone yesterday because
It's great.
we
It's
had a new
really great,
member-
and I was talking about this with our friend as well, where it's funny how quickly I can get very frustrated. Like programming does not come super easily to me.
yeah.
And then I just put in the coding train for basically the exact kind of problem I want, and he's so happy-go-lucky and he's so calm about all of it, and it's like, okay, I can relax. I don't have to
Yeah.
get so furiously angry at this programming language for like, not compiling my incorrect code and giving the output
Yeah.
that I want. Like, I'm at fault here, not the
Yeah.
not the program.
Yeah.
What
yeah,
do you
I
have
mean, I hear
to tell
great
us
things.
about?
I mean, I watched like half an hour of like his first video, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then I think Druid in Artblock's Discord recommended it, and then you obviously recommended it. So we had a 333 member join yesterday, and they were like, "My first question is, how would I start with generative art?" And I was like,
Boom, coding train.
Yeah, coding train. We also have a member who has spent like the last 4 or 6 months basically going from 0 to now. He has a project ready to release in fxhash, and he's going to be writing up like a blog or an article about his journey. So I think that's cool to see. Yeah, there's just so many more people getting into generative art now. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
Tell us about all that Vegas stuff. I haven't got an update. We used to be friends that would talk to each other all the time, and now we like hold a little bit back so we can have these chats on air. So I genuinely don't really know how that went, and I'm curious how it went.
No, it went great.
Oh, we can talk about bizarre meat too.
Oh yeah, that was a really good meal. I'll get to that in a moment. So the reason I was in Vegas was there is a conference, Web3 Expo, and it was 4 days, Monday through Thursday at the Wynn, and it was all about like Web3 and having people sort of from all ends of the spectrum. So if you're a complete beginner, there was content where people come and learn about
one end of the
what
spectrum.
this is, and the other is like they had like investors who had, I don't know, tens to hundreds of millions of dollars, in funds, and were sort of looking to invest in Web3 projects. So there were a lot of people there that were trying to raise capital and were like trying to connect and network and meet investors. So it was this weird hybrid where you had two ends of the spectrum. Maybe this is a multi-spectrum thing, but yeah, it was great. The Wynn is a really great location, and I did 11 talks in 4 days, which was a bit much.
That's a lot.
But we had
How long
my favorite was
each one?
So it wasn't me just up there talking the entire time on all of them. There was like panels and like we had a Zen Academy workshop for 4 of the days.
So you didn't do the same thing 11 times.
Each.
You want a stand-up comic just doing the same jokes, the same set.
What? I missed. I didn't do the same thing 11 times.
You did 11 different appearances, but some was panel, some was okay.
Correct. 3 of them were on this thing called Whale Tank, which was like a Shark Tank type thing. Kevin O'Leary was at the conference as well. He came for 1 day and he gave like 3 talks, and they're actually really
Wonderful.
So funny story about that. So the night before he was, you should never begin a story with a funny story, but anyway, the night before he was due to attend, we were at dinner, like a team dinner, and someone asked me, "Are you going to go see Mr. Wonderful tomorrow?" And A, I didn't know that was his nickname, and B, I misheard. And I was like, Mr. Waffle? Who is Mr. Waffle? I thought it was like some DJ because, a few people were talking about going to like some club, and I was like, Mr. Waffle? I've never heard of Mr. And now I just can't not think of Kevin O'Leary as Mr. Waffle.
Mr. Waffle.
But yeah. He's got that round face, and hopefully he doesn't hear this. He was actually really good and like knowledgeable about crypto and NFTs and all that kind of stuff.
He seems to have gotten much more into it over the last 2 years.
Yeah,
I haven't followed it closely, but occasionally his sort of opinions will seep their way onto my Twitter timeline, and it's gotten gradually more sort of realistic and positive.
He was very so I only got to see him speak for like 20 minutes, and at one point he was very randomly shilling North Dakota. He was like, if anyone
the state of North Dakota.
He was like, if anyone is thinking of like launching a business or raising capital or funding in North Dakota, come talk to me because I want to fund businesses. And it's like, all right, so he's on North Dakota's payroll
Yeah.
or something like that. Anyway, back to the conference. It was great. It was great. We had 8 team members from Zen Academy there and met a bunch of people from the community. And yeah, they're gonna do it. Like the only the downside I would say is that the attendance was low, and like it's a bear market, but I think that they could have done a better job marketing. And also, they had like 8 rooms or something, and like a bunch of talks happening at once. Where
Yeah.
they should have just had one stage because they had 2 big stages with like 1,000+ seats, and they got maybe 50 to 100 people at a good event. Kevin O'Leary had like maybe 300, 400. So there were a lot of people there, but they were just very spread out. So I think that
I've heard a lot of like the people that are sort of actually native to the space in general have gotten soured on these things because so often the guest speakers are people that are not actually involved in almost any capacity. It's just like a couple celebrities that have the tiniest interaction with the space that is, you know, they're basically like extractors from the space and stuff like that, rather than like all of the legitimate people in it that you actually want to hear from. You know what I mean? Specifically NFT NYC, right? That's the big famous example where it's like they have 32,000 speakers and like you know 31,980 of them are people that if you're actually in the space you don't really want to hear from or aren't going to learn from.
Yeah, each speaker gets a minute and 12 seconds. Just it was people are definitely getting a bit fed up with like the number of conferences. There's like 1 to 2 a week, and they're expensive. They're like, this one was $875 for the basic ticket.
Wow.
And NFT NYC is expensive, and it's a bit much, but this one was fun, and I look forward to. I think they're going to do it again next year, and
So the last day you were there, you were trying to get a lunch recommendation from me before you had to catch your flight. Did you end up going somewhere? If so, where?
I just went to a place within the Wynn.
Which one?
It's called Jardin. Jardin. It was it's just like a nice cafe. I had a decent skirt steak, and
it's one of my favorite.
I wanted to go like
skirt steak.
What's that?
Skirt steak. Maybe my second favorite cut behind ribeye.
It's really good.
I like a good skirt steak.
Bazaar Meats that was my favorite meal of the trip, which
good.
Went to with a couple of friends that are in our group chat that basically helped get me into NFTs, or like I learned a lot from them. And you have been raving about Bazaar Meats for years because you used to love going there when you lived in Vegas.
Yeah, so I lived in Vegas for 8 or 9 years, and Bazaar Meat was for sure one of my favorite restaurants. And the chef owner, by the way, Jose Andres, is like one of the best people in the world. It turns out. I don't know if you actually. Oh, okay. So he's.
I knew he has a bunch of restaurants. I didn't know he was an excellent human being or something.
Yeah, so he's been doing a lot of awesome stuff, feeding like Ukrainian refugees and stuff. I believe World Kitchen is the name of his actual thing, and so they've just been going to disaster areas and now to Ukraine basically, and just giving hot, good meals to people and a lot of stuff like that. He's got a podcast now too. Everybody's got a podcast. I'm so sick of everybody having podcasts.
Yeah, everyone has a podcast. Everyone has
stop podcasting, people. We don't need more podcasts.
No more podcasts. No more newsletters either. Everyone's launching a newsletter, and like, I'm gonna. We're 1 year in, and we're just starting to gatekeep. It's in
a not at all serious way though.
Yes, yeah. That restaurant is enormous. Since we're getting
it is big,
it is a huge restaurant. Yeah, it was really good.
Good.
That was the end.
It feels like we're running out of steam a little bit here.
It does a little bit.
Although we've covered all the things that we try to cover. You want to do a giveaway game situation, or you know what? Here's the thing, by the way, just in that realm, we can give away fxhash pieces super easily. That should be a new thing that we think about a lot too, right?
Yes,
or at least I can. I certainly have a ton of pieces that are of low enough value that
let's
totally
give away
fine
some fxhash art.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think we've done it once before. I gave away some of those Zancan, Lush Temple. I forget the exact name of the one. There's 2,000 of them, but yeah, the downside to an fxhash giveaway is not everyone has a Tezos wallet. But the upside is that those that do have one have a better chance of
The other upside is
winning.
that we can get people to
Help
make
people.
one, right?
Yeah.
Get a fucking wallet. It's
Yep.
not hard. It doesn't cost money. You're supposedly an
not.
NFT fan, right? You're listening to this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Get a Tezos wallet.
I'm just thinking through my head now. Like we've been running them through pre-mint. I think people can probably just put an fxhash wallet in there. We'll figure
I
it
have
out.
no idea. That's not my job.
We'll figure it out. So we'll play What Am I Thinking, and then the password will be the word, and then the winner will get maybe the top 3 winners. We'll pick and send them some fxhash art.
One piece from each of us, so 6 pieces total.
Done.
Okay.
Deal. Ooh,
I have
this
a
is
word.
exciting. I have a brand new room to look around.
Yeah, that is fun actually.
It's funny what I find exciting. All right, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Creatine. Bench and creatine.
Ooh,
That's actually.
yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll go with this word, I think.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Pectorals.
Chest. Ooh.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Okay, I think I got something. 3, 2, 1. Muscles. That was a good one. By the way,
very good.
I didn't even know if you would know what creatine was. That's
Excuse
amazing.
me, I am.
That's
I'm
convenient.
like
So you have a
yeah.
bench that you're looking at, I suppose. There's a bench in this room.
Let me. There's.
Oh, we got some turquoise. Oh yeah, there it is. A bench. Oh, a picture of a bench. But there is a little bit of a seating thing over there, huh?
Oh, there is, yeah.
It's pretty bench-like.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
How about this room for less than $50 a night?
Okay, enough about what a great deal the room is.
Now, I wonder if someone is now like gonna investigate what room this is and come find
Kill
me
you?
And maybe we cut out this last bit. Actually,
I don't think so.
you don't think so?
I mean, they could already do it with the picture behind you, I'm sure, if they were that curious about kidnapping you.
That is true, actually. That is true. All right. Please don't kidnap me. I don't have anything valuable on me. Like, I got a couple $100.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're a stalker or whatever, it's not, you don't have to just be interested in, you just could want to, that's stalkers.
I mean, if you want to have a conversation, just come up and say hello. We'll have a conversation.
Okay. This has been episode 58, I think, maybe somewhere in the 56 to 59 range is for sure true.
Like, follow, comment, subscribe, leave a rating, review. Thank you for listening and watching.
Here's the thing. One of the things I'm always saying is, donate blood, right? That's one of the things I like to say at the end of the episode. Guess what I'm doing tomorrow?
You are going to buy some pumpkins.
No, we already got our pumpkins for the season. I'm donating blood. That was obvious. Wow. You were being funny though.
I was. Yep. What's the word for the giveaway? It's muscles.
Muscles
with an S.
Plural. Yep. Muscles.
We'll have a link in the description for that one.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye.